Hi, this is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. I just got in the mail today my Hammer SlingBow from Simple Shot. This has been back ordered a little bit. I think it was only a couple weeks. I tried to order it right around Christmas time, but it finally came in. So let's open this thing up and see what's involved with it. Now, Simple Shot has a video assembly manual, basically, owner's manual. So that's not going to try to replace this. But I'm just showing you what I got. So, let's see. Okay. Cool. I opted for the green. I think that's kind of cool. I already have the Scout slingshot from Simple Shot. I like it. I don't get to shoot it a whole lot. I've done a little bit of band experimenting. I have never taken the thing hunting yet, but I do have quite a few sling bows already. This will be my third, and I wanted to try to find the optimum sling bow. I'm not quite happy exactly with what I've got. This one looked interesting, so I thought I'd give it a try. So while I was waiting for this, of course I looked on YouTube looking for some reviews, looking for some tips and tricks. So I'm fairly familiar with this without actually having touched it. Here's the body of the slingshot. Now, one of the things I like about this is it has two separate heads. This head here has a whisker biscuit, and it is intended to be used only for arrows. And it also has a secondary head to let you use this as a slingshot. That's one of the main problems I have with the two other sling bows that I have, which I'll eventually put them on a head-to-head competition once I get this thing, a little more used to it and get it all tuned in. But the slingshots I have shoot shot and rocks and ball bearings and anything else well, and the sling bows shoot arrows. But when you try to start shooting, found rocks and ball bearings and things like that, that's usually when it goes to hell. The fact that you need something special besides just the normal pouch on the rear of the band set, that causes me a lot of problems. I haven't found a way around that yet. So I usually end up having a dedicated sling bow that really isn't that well at shooting rocks. And if I'm going to have something that only shoots arrows, I might as well have a bow to do that. So that's my hope and goal with this thing, is I can get it to shoot shot, round projectiles as well as arrows. So they slip right into place, and they do have a locking tab. And that's one thing that all the reviews I looked at had said, how well, I guess how tight this fits together. And that is tight. So I know you have to be careful about using certain kinds of lubricants on this, because this is like a Zytel type material. You can't use any like oil-based lubricants. I have a cake of fixing wax right here. And thanks to YouTube, I can pre-game this a little bit and learn from other people's mistakes. So I'm going to coat this up with wax. I'm going to put the shot bands in first. And it did latch into place. And this is directional. This can only go in one way. Now I've got my two plugs here. Now I don't have an Ocularis or any type of Ocularis. That is the Simple Shot's name brand or name for the band attachment system. It is just a simple hole that a plug goes into place, and then a ball bearing takes up space in the plug. Okay. And here's a bag. This has the two ball bearings per fork that I need. So there are 4 ball bearings, and then there's a small metal tab that's gonna be for the wrist brace. So this is a wrist brace slingshot. I know these aren't legal everywhere. They're 100% legal in Ohio. If they get to the point where they start banning types of slingshots, it's time to move, in my opinion. But, you know, you obviously, you know, check all your local laws and regulations before you know, get arrested for having a slingshot. That's pretty silly in my opinion. But laws are laws. If you don't like them, move. Okay. Okay, here's the screw started. This is a metal retainer that's going to keep the wrist brace from popping out. Here's the metal tab. This snaps over the fork and keeps it locked into place so you can switch it out. Here's a close-up of the Ocularis system. I don't know why you can see that from a distance that I was showing you before. And this is the dedicated bow attachment with a whisker biscuit. So I'm going to grab a screwdriver real quick. We'll drive this in and then I'll get some bands on it. Okay, so I tighten the screw all the way in. You know, you don't want to get crazy over tightening this stuff. And I'm going to put some bands in it now. The black bands are what I'm going to use with the slingshot attachment. Let's see what these are. Okay, right now I can tell you this is the SlingBow attachment. I see it's got like a paracord strand. Oh, what is that? That looks like regular serving. So this is a regular served bowstring, it looks like. Double stranded, double bands. We'll get to that in just a minute. So I just refer to the owner's manual. The Ocularis bands feed in from the front, the target side of the slingshot. So I'm going to put the band in. I'm going to give it about 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to pop the plug into place. Okay, now the band comes around over the top. Okay, so I've got them where I want them. Now I'm going to take a ball bearing and that presses in. So here's a little better shot. So the bands come in from the target side. The black plug presses in. Now I have about the same tail sticking out on either side here. So that's going to show me that my bands are about the same length. And then you see this ball bearing is pressed into the plug. Here's this one. Okay, there you go. These are fairly light bands, I can tell you that right now. That was one of the complaints that I did see online was, you know, this is supposedly a big heavy-duty hunting slingshot and you're going to give lighter bands with these. The bands can obviously be shortened to make them stronger. They can be doubled. I've ordered a band sampler pack from Simple Sports before, for my Scout slingshot, and I know real quick the bands get to where they're uncomfortable to pull. So I think there's nothing wrong with giving a set of nice light bands till you can learn how to use this properly and get comfortable with it. But that is the sling configuration. Now, one thing I like about this is something the other sling bows I have do not have. All of them have wrist braces, but this one's actually adjustable. So you can set this up depending on what you're wearing, but the slingshot will be straight, not canted forward or canted back. Cool. That's awesome. Now hopefully this wax lets you pull the head off of this thing a whole lot easier, because I know that's what everybody complained about online. And it came off. That wasn't a big struggle. I don't know what the other issues were with it. Now I'm going to set up the sling bow head real quick. So this is the, in this case, this is the target side. This is the shooter side of the bow. I'm going to slip the bands through. Okay, so this is the target side. This would be as I would be holding it. I've got the band slipped through from the back. And the ocularis plugs have like a channel cut in them naturally. So I'm going to put these at, I don't know if it makes a difference, I'm going to put them at 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Take the tension out of these slowly so that I kind of center them up a little bit. So I got the one side seated. It's it's slightly tricky, I'll tell you that. I think I am going to change it. I'm going to pop this right back out again, and I'm going to set it up in the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock position. So the bands are going to be straight up and down. That looks like the way these the serving's been tied on. That looks like how it's going to lay most naturally. Seems like quite a bit of tension is required to stretch out the bands where they slip in easier. Because as you pull them, obviously they get thinner. Okay, so just so we're clear, I'm going to set them up in the 6 and 12 position. This is my first attempt. And if you look at how the band is sitting, there actually is a top and bottom to this. Alright, so this is set now. Quite a bit of tinkering was involved to get it in. First time I've ever done it. And I think this kind of system is designed for somebody at a hobby. So you can experiment with all types of different bands, homemade bands, tube, loop tube, flat bands. And to be honest, that's not me right now. I just want to get this thing set up and shoot it. So once I find something that works to my level of skill, until I need to upgrade or change something around, I'm really not going to do that. So I'm going to coat this with wax real quick. I'm going to seat it. Okay. You can see my handshake. That's probably, 40 pounds. Definitely 35 for certain. doesn't quite feel like 45. I believe I saw people scale these things online. I am not set up to do that, so I'm not going to do it. So this is just a quick unboxing and assembly. I'm not going to go outside and fling a few rocks through this thing and a few arrows and tell you my quick opinion of it. I'm going to give it a more thorough review. There's a lot of good reviews out here on these things, so I suggest checking some out. A Simple Shot has a really good owner's manual online. Basically, it's like a video owner's manual, and it's a good company to deal with. This is not really one of my main hobbies. If I have a question, I just call them, or I'll send them an email, or I'll read on their webpage and see what I need. Now this compared to the sling bow, this feels like about 10 pounds. There's really not much on here. So I'm probably going to shorten these bands up once I start chucking some rocks through here. Again, these are all designed for specific ammo. So when you get a band set, it might be tuned up for 3/8 ball ammo. If you just start picking gravel up out of the road, that's not what I'm referring to when I'm saying rocks. That's just a real loose generic term by me. But it's cool. I like it. It fits my hand well. It's definitely a quality product. I did get this on sale. This was a after Christmas sale. That's why I made the purchase. It took a couple weeks to get it. But with two heads, there's a lot of versatility here. And I will give this a thorough test, and I'm sure you'll be seeing it again later. So this is Jamie Boggs with Burning River Bushcraft. See you next time. Now I just got in from shooting the slingshot, and there's something that I wanted to add to this video. I'm going to do a full review of this. I just wanted to get used to it for a few days, find out what's working for me. So I'll do a full review with arrows and shot. Maybe get a fishing attachment for this. But when I set up the shot head, okay, I originally set it up as a side shooter. So I had the bands at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. First two shots, I hit my forks. What I actually did is it did damage the forks. It put a pretty good wing into the edge of it and put a crack into it also. So I immediately flopped the bands over to the top. So now it's shooting over the top instead of through the forks. And this gives me more clearance, and I haven't had a strike yet. So I sent an email to Simple Shooting Sports, and they got back with me fairly quickly. I showed them a picture of it. I explained what I did. Said it was my fault. It was operator error. I did not have the adjustable wrist brace set properly, so it was not straight up and down. It would have been actually leaning forward like this, and that was causing me to strike. And he said the way I was grabbing the pouch, I was grabbing quite a bit of the pouch instead of just grabbing the projectile itself. But regardless, I asked him, is this gonna cause any damage to the slingshot? Is it gonna be safe to use? And he really didn't answer that question. So these are fairly light bands. I'm not worried about it. But just so you know, I set this up as a side shooter at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Hit my forks, immediately switched it over to an over-the-top shooter, and haven't had any more problems. So until I get a little more experience with this particular slingshot or get braver, I'm going to leave my bands here, and I suggest you do the same, especially on an initial setup.